Ryan, it's been a tough start to the season, both fixture-wise and with the injuries that you've had. How would you assess the start to the season?
Tough is a good word. It's been there have been some factors which are not in our control, injuries and the training ground being washed out of our training ground. I think I heard somebody describe it this week as we've been nomads in Leeds, and it takes a while to get some sort of pattern to how you train. And part of the problem with the training ground is it wasn't from the off where somebody says, right, you'll be out there for the next 4 months, so plan accordingly. We genuinely thought we would be inside there next week, 10 days when it dried out, but obviously the damage was that extensive where it took us a good month. It took us till the back end of January to really get a grip of where we'll be and how long we'll be. So we've had to take some adjustments on that. The injuries everybody gets, but we've had a significant amount of those. But all that said, there's been 1 or 2 performances so far this year which have been disappointing, and that's what they are the things that's in our control, and that's what we're trying to adjust and improve upon.
Big important win then against St Helens to take you into the Easter period.
Yeah, it was, and there was some part of it, and my assessment after the game, I still stand by, is that there were some parts I thought were really good with those, but there were some other parts which were loose, too loose, defensively especially, and I don't think, I think there's enough evidence there for Castleford to get really excited this week. When Darryl and Danny Orr looks at the footage of us defending, I think they'll think they may get some joy from it. So there's some things that we need to be on top of.
I think having watched them at Warrington last week, Darryl will probably say the same about you watching their video.
Maybe, but then I think we're all on the end of those scorelines, aren't we? And you can't guarantee much in sport, but I can guarantee you Castleford will be that probably this week. So, yeah, I don't think their video was relevant. We haven't taken much out about that video this week.
Is that what you did? I mean, because obviously you do a lot of preparation looking at other teams. Do you just sometimes think, yeah, that's too bad to be true, we'll just ignore that one and focus on other things?
Yeah, I looked at it just to make sure there's somebody else who were worse than us, so just for 1 week only. But no, there's nothing to take out of that. I just know there won't be that play again this week.
Squad-wise, you're starting to get bodies healthy now. Obviously, Ryan Hall got injured last week. You've put him in the squad. Is there any chance he might feature over Easter?
Probably not. We didn't want to write him off early in the week, and he's a tough man, Ollie. And while there is some damage there, we just wondered whether it was one of those that he could just see through. We are getting some bodies back, but I wouldn't describe our squad as healthy at the moment. Even those that are playing are still carrying. They've all come back early, so. We've got to manage ourselves through this next period, and the Easter period in itself is challenging. And we back it up the week after with the trip to OKR, who are optimistic. They're an optimistic club, so there's no easy period.
Will you make some calls on some players with a view to just playing once over the Easter?
Hopefully, that'd be nice. Hopefully, we've got 1 or 2 fellas who are left out of the squad at the moment, and if all being same on Monday, they'll roll into the squad on Monday.
Both Illumina's come into the squad last couple of weeks. How do you think he's doing so far?
Yeah, gradually building. He showed some spells there against Wigan, albeit in a beaten team. But I thought he had a good influence over us offensively against St Helens. Wasn't the perfect performance on his behalf, especially defensively, but that's the improvement part. That's where we're growing.
A win over Castleford will move you above them in the Super League table. They've had success here, but you've had success at the Jungle. Any reason behind that?
I'm not sure. It's an interesting relationship we've got with Castleford at the moment. They're clearly a good team. You would argue that they've got, and I agree, they've got a formula that seems to trouble us. Last week's performance again. I like last week's performance against Warrington. It's irrelevant. They'll know what works against us. Yeah, we've had some good ones against Castleford in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Had some really tough performances. I think it was the start of the 2014 season when we had a really tough win there, which set us up for a few weeks. We took a lot of confidence out of that, and we had to fight for that one. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game this Thursday.
What are you expecting from them? Because they've got injury problems as well. What are you expecting from them?
Well, they're an inventive team, Cass, and they can attack, and they can be very tenacious defensively. And I think with the squad that and Darryl, what he gets out of his squad, he manages his resources really well. So they're for us, and maybe another team, another coach isn't as frightened, but for us, they're a threat, a genuine threat. And we'd have to be really good. It's not just a case of we've got to show up and put in a 6.5 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 performance. We've got to, be up near 9s and 10s, 10 out of 10 to beat Castleford.
Easter, do you prefer it as a player or as a coach?
Yeah, I'm not bothered really. If you give me a choice, I wouldn't have it, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. It's going to hurt us this weekend, though. I'll tell you now, this year, I've never really made a big deal over Easter either way up until this point, but it's going to hurt us over Easter. We don't have the resources to manage it, and some people will have to play 2 games this week in the space of 4 days, and the game at OKR is going to be really interesting. Same for everybody, but we're stretched at the moment, and those who are on the field, they're carrying some pain at the moment. So if I had a choice, I don't think Super League is defined by Easter. I don't think people say, well, if you lose Easter, you're going to lose a lot of tradition. I don't think it's anywhere near as... people say that about the Challenge Cup, and I agree with it, but Easter's... I don't think people look at Super League and say, that's the competition that plays 2 games in 4 days, don't they? Or 2 games in 3 days. If we lost it, I don't think we'd be any less of a product. Some
huge games, isn't there, this weekend, all across Super League. What have you meant to the start of Super League as a whole, Brian?
I'm not sure. I'm hesitant to make a judgment. I haven't watched enough of all the games to give you an accurate judgment. I could tell you about us and maybe some other teams, but Super League last year I thought was very good, and it provided what it was tasked to do, which is entertain, keep everybody enthralled, and have a climax at the end of the year on a few different levels, not just those at the top of the table. And I thought it delivered massively. And while there are some shaky games at the moment, it'll sort itself out, and all that provides entertainment. So it's pointless asking me about Super League because I'm involved. It's pointless asking a chief executive. It's pointless asking the player. They're involved. You've got to ask the people who are sat at home buying Sky dishes. That's what we're on the field for. That's what our product is for. To be controversial, it's not even a controversial point, but an interesting point, does Super League provide a good international team, or provide a level of standard to be able to compete with the NRL? Therefore, it's an interesting debate. That's what I think either journalists or experts or somebody outside the game need to look into. But I do know it provides a product that can be sold and is hugely entertaining. Whether it provides a product that's there as equally as good on an international level or against NRL clubs after recent World Cup series, you've got to ask that question.
But if you can get 2 wins this Easter, all of a sudden you are right back in the mix at the top end again, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, we are, and we start to chew down some of that space. Yeah.
Ben Roberts is back in their squad. How key could he be for Castleford?
He's certainly an influential player for them, and he's been a big player for them since they've come, and he's been involved in some big wins. So he'll be, he's somebody for us to be concerned with.
A big derby atmosphere. Looks like it's going to be another capacity crowd there. Is that something that the players can feed off? Obviously, a lot of Leeds fans travel to the local derby. Yeah,
and I think that's the interesting part about when they come here. It's a big crowd. We go over there. It's a big crowd. They're usually very intense games, very volatile games, full of emotion. The fans are a big part of what we do, and I'm sure that'll have a part to play.
Whilst we've seen players return into the matchday squad, how tough has it been to manage them during the week? Presumably they've not been able to have the same level of intensity in training in terms of numbers.
Yeah, correct. And we've got some people that aren't training at the moment that can just make game day, which is normally what you're saying at the back end of the year, and that's the crazy bit. So, in terms of long-term injuries, we've had 1 or 2 of those, and still got Stevie Ward out there. We've got some niggles to some that are not playing, and we've got some niggles that are carrying with the team that are playing. So. The work that we get done midweek is minimal at the moment. So physically, can they play? And then tactically, are they up to speed? And there's the challenge for us.
Tom Briscoe, is he in the mix for the weekend?
He is, yeah. The likelihood is he'll play.
How confident are you in how he's recovered from the injury?
Well, same as with those running injuries and those leg injuries, they can't run. They do very, very little running. So Tom's naturally a fit fella. Leads a good life. We haven't been dragging him out of nightclubs at 3 o'clock in the morning to get him to rehab. So I'm sure he'll come back close. But after a couple of games, he'll be better for it.
Danny Maguire suffered a calf strain in the build-up to last week's game. How's he coming ahead of the?
Yeah, he hasn't trained as of yet. If I'm honest, the likelihood is he probably won't play. But we don't want to make that judgment just yet. I know we're only a day before. But if he's fit, he'll play.
And could he feature against Wakefield on Monday if he misses out Thursday?
That's likely, yeah.
Ryan, hi. You talk about this entertaining product that is Super League. It's already been touched upon. The table, as it is at the moment, about early pace setters, do you see it as fairly open though?
Yeah, I do. I don't think anybody's scaring anybody just yet. I know there's a lot of interest about what Widnes are doing at the moment, and Widnes have been building in that regard over the last 2 or 3 seasons. They've been a decent, solid team, consistent team they just fall away at some important times of the year, and maybe they're sorting that out. But I don't think anybody's playing at a standard where everybody else is thinking we need to catch up to them, which has been the case in recent seasons, whether that be a Warrington or a Wigan or a Saints. I can see that somebody will get hold of the competition soon and surge off and everybody else needs to catch up.
Kevin Sinfield said that he misses Super League. He'll always miss playing rugby league as well. On a professional and personal basis, do you miss having him around?
Of course, yeah. Kev's influence over the group was huge, and Kev's influence over the group off the field was massive. And yeah, of course we do. Yeah, we miss JP, but then that's not to say we yearn for them back. We're chewing through some things ourselves, and whether that be on the field or off the field, and it's good. It's a good time. Some people are ready to fill that void, fill that space, and there certainly is a space when you have 2 very influential people like that, and you put Kylie into the mix as well. But you've got to have that void first. It's ridiculous to say, well, let's go put some of the people on leadership courses and they'll just fill it up straight away. You've almost got to have that void first, and that's the process we're going through. And it's exciting to see the young Liam Sutcliffes and Adam Cuthbertson, who's not so young, but then he's new to us, and some of the senior blokes such as Rob Burrow and Jamie Jones. They're all coming together, and we're gathering another identity, albeit not such a different identity, but we've got a new identity to claim. And
then on the return of the likes of Carl Ablett and JJB, how are they helping the youngsters that have really been forging their own places in the team this season?
I think the youngsters are. I think the youngsters look at the seniors and think it looks so easy, whether that be just getting onside or catching a ball in a tight situation or executing a play that we've planned. And for the young fellas, they're learning all that. They're learning those things, and while we can all do it in training and do it at 19s, or they might do it at their dual reg club, it's a different story doing it at Super League when the fellas are coming at you as fast as they do. So it's a decent learning process to go through.
I spoke to Maguire before St Helens. He seemed really keen to play. He said he was all set, and then obviously he had that setback. How has he been around the camp? Because obviously you said he hasn't been training. It must be frustrating for you to see your captain getting sidelined for a little bit longer. It must be frustrating for him as well.
It is frustrating, but then I tell you, we've got to be sensible about it, and we could throw him in. And he could hobble around against Castleford, but that wouldn't do him any good. It wouldn't do any good. And I'm sure he'd have some sort of positive influence over us. What we can't gauge is what negative stuff that comes out of it. So Magsy will have a fair bearing over this season, and when he does come back, let's make sure he's 100% fit. He still has a good presence around the group. The players follow him, whether he's captain or not. He's been a bit of a leader for years anyway, same as Rob has and same as Jamie Jones has. But the players rate Magsy, and some of the things he says in meetings and some of the things he says out on the training park is equally influential whether he's playing or not. So he still influences us.
And when we look at this difficult Easter period that you've got coming up with the squad as it is, do you set yourself and the team targets, or is it just we're just going to see what happens?
Oh, there's 1 or 2 things we're always looking at each week. There's 1 or 2 things that we'd like to attain each week, and the target of let's not lose over Easter. That's not a target. That's almost a given. There's some things that we want to do, but I think we've got to maintain some performance. I think we've got to, some of the things that we had against St Helens, we've got to carry those over. Although our kick chase was a hell of a lot better against St Helens than it was against Wigan, almost non-existent against Wigan the week before, and there's some of the nuts and bolts of our game that you just can't do without. That we've been doing without up until probably Saints. Saints was the first time this year that I thought we've got to kick chase. So they're those things that you look down about what we do at the moment. You think that's what we need to get right. Whether you start looking forward and what should it look like in 3 or 4 weeks' time, we're not there yet. We need to still get our own backyard in order.
And when we talk about the St Helens game, do you think that was the first time this season that perhaps this new squad really showed their potential?
Yes, I do. I don't think it was near where we need to be, but it was the first time this year I thought there's some things happening there, which is good.
And it must have pleased you as well with the St Helens scoring so close to half time, but yet still coming through for the Rhinos and a good second half performance as well.
Yeah, I do. And you know, if you was to take some of the three we give them 3 soft tries. John Wilkin, I thought, summed it up really well afterwards in his aftermatch on Sky there with the interview, and said, I didn't think Leeds were great, and we weren't great. And certainly those exchanges, which pretty much gifted them 3 tries, they're easier to defend. Now, once you fix those up, and the fact that we didn't then score again in the second half, there's some encouraging signs there.
And last question from me: is it about winning ugly then? Obviously, when you look at the
Never.
score as it is.
Never. Maybe that's not true. It isn't never. Maybe towards the back end of the year, and you've just got to make the 8 or make the 4 or get through to the grand final. I'll have an ugly win. Not at this stage. It's not about winning ugly at this stage. I'd say the same every year. Performances equal another performance equals another performance, because there are things that you've been working on that come off, and then you can keep hold of it, and the players believe in it, and the players rate it, therefore they do it again, and then you end up winning games because you're playing that well. And when you ask a coach what's the difference between a performance and what's the difference between a win, at this stage of the year I want to play well. Do we need to win? Yeah, of course, but I want to play well so we can carry those over and continue with the momentum. Just jagging a win here and there, you're then throwing it up in the wind whether you're going to win next week, you know.